Hello and welcome to the brewery, and welcome to a slightly different view of the brewery. As you can see, I've swapped from primarily the GoPro up there to a second-hand DSLR with a microphone on it over there. Hopefully this gives you a closer up view of me, if you really want to see me. Anyway, so what are we going to do today? So today we're going to do something a bit different. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of homebrewing in the UK. Now, the history of homebrewing in the US is fairly well known, with the foundation of the American Homebrew Association by Charlie Bazian, the legalisation of homebrew by Jimmy Carter, and the starting of the BJCP and the spinning out of the Brewers Association, leading to the modern craft beer explosion. But what happened in the UK is a little bit more complicated and a little bit less well known. So today I'm going to talk about that. Now, wine brewing in the UK has always been pretty common, and if not legal, at least completely tolerated. And a number of organisations, and mostly things called wine circles, started probably in the late 840s, early 50s, to start bringing together wine brewers primarily from regions of the country. Soon after this, in about the late 50s, 1958, 59, an organisation, the National Association of Wine Brewers, as it was known then, or National Association of Winemakers, I think it was formed and started running annual events, to start with mostly on the south coast, but eventually all around the UK. This organisation spun out a separate organisation, the National Guild of Wine and Beer Judges. There was no wine judges originally, to focus on educating beer judges, wine judges and then beer judges. Relatively soon afterwards, both these organisations are still going to get a day. The National Association of Wine and Beer Makers, it now is, and National Guild of Wine and Beer Judges. Both run today. They still run an annual event that moves around the country. It's a bit different than most homebrew events, as it is quite wine focused, though there is a lot of beer there, and it is a lot more formal than most homebrewing events you'll go to nowadays, ending usually with a black tie event and brewers in black ties. Anyway, in the early 2000s, going on to about 2007-ish, we started to see the foundation of the larger regional clubs. In 2000 we saw the Northern Craft Brewers, the Midland Craft Brewers I believe was a similar sort of time, and in 2007 LAB, the London Amateur Brewers, was founded. The clubs, apart from LAB, tended to travel around their regions, trying to cover a membership from a very large area. For example, the Northern Craft Brewers covers everywhere from Liverpool to Grimsby, and a fair north-south region in between. In this sort of period, we also see the Craft Brewers Association. This was a group of people aimed at helping out the clubs, but also at publishing a magazine for all the brewers homebrewers in the UK. This magazine was called I can't remember the name, I'll put it down here if I remember it. It was quite a good magazine that carried on for several years. We also saw the rise to prominence of the web forums. While there had been some NTP news groups beforehand, the web forums really brought homebrewers in the country together. The one remaining one is Jim's Beer Kit. I think that's still running, but there were several others of equal prominence in this sort of period. These groups started running camping events at small breweries that had bars with fields outside and competitions associated with them. And these were some of the early, less formal beer events. I have a couple of rosettes from one up there. Around 2010 or so, we start seeing more smaller clubs come into existence. The likes of Manchester Craft Brewers, who we see over here. There's clubs in Chester and Cambridge. Around that sort of period, these clubs tend to focus more on the homebrewers from their actual region, from their town or city, and not try and travel around and cover a larger area. A lot of these clubs are still running today. In 2011, we had the first UK National Homebrew competition run to BJCP rules. This was run by Ali Coacher-Williams down in Bristol, with a lot of the homebrewers from the Bristol area. It's been held in Bristol every year, bar one that was in Cambridge since then. I think we've skipped one, or we've just moved the date a bit, but we'll see what's happening this year. We also saw the growth of brewery-based competitions and bar-based competitions. These were run by breweries, sometimes national, sometimes regional, and the prize was often to get to brew with the brewery. There was one particular example of this is particularly well known. The Craft Beer Company, I think they're called, ran a competition with remarkably large prize. I believe it was £5,000 for the winner. Nobody else got anything. The Craft Beer Company is an organisation that runs several craft beer bars around London and the South East. Now, the winner of this competition was Andy, who now runs Elusive Brewing. Apparently, the money he won went towards starting the brewery. In the same sort of time, in the early 2010s, about 2013 to 2015, we saw the start of the craft beer explosion that's still going on today. And a lot of brewers from the clubs around the country started breweries. For example, from Manchester, we have, well, obviously we have people in Cloudwater, First Class, Torside, Beer Nouveau, can't miss out Beer Nouveau, and several others were started by homebrewers from Manchester clubs. Later in the 2010s, we saw the rise of a number of homebrew events across the country. So we have the Homebrew Expo for Manchester Homebrew and BrewCon, originally in London. In fact, it continues to be in London, but they've had one event in Leeds. These events are quite varied, but aim to bring together homebrewers from the region and the whole country to try each other's beers, discuss homebrew, learn from professionals, and, well, basically make better beer. And that pretty much brings us to today. Now, we're all in lockdown, all the homebrew clubs are running virtually, while some are just starting to meet up again. And we have seen an explosion of people contacting us going, I've got a brew kit, what do I do? So apparently there's another explosion in homebrewing starting. And hopefully, once we're all out of this lockdown, all the people who've taken up homebrewing in the last 6 months, 3 months, or however long it's been, will carry on, come and join our clubs, and we'll see them all as the next generation of homebrewers. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope that was an interesting, rapid run through the history of the UK homebrew scene. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in another video.